Everyone, welcome to this video. In this video we will be looking at method overriding, some of the important concepts which are related to method overriding. So in my previous video we already saw what method overriding is and how it could be implemented. So let us have a quick recap. So this is class A, within which I have a method which is display. Okay, so initially I will not keep any argument here. Right, now there is class B which is extending A. Now inheritance is an integral and an implicit concept related to method overriding. Without inheritance we will not be able to override any method. Okay, so this is basically the function, or sorry, this is basically the method which is there in class B, and it is class B is also inheriting the properties of class A. And finally I have mentioned another method here which is having the main method, that is public static void main, and we are having different objects in order to call the various methods. For simplicity, let us just keep one method in each of these classes. Okay, and now let me save this. So whenever we are trying to so this is some of the modification that we have to do because it is just a continuation. Okay, so now when I'm trying to call any method of B which is basically extending A, so what I have to do is I have to create an object of B, and then I have to call the method which is overriding, or which the method display which is basically overriding the method that is present in class A. Okay, so how do we understand this? So now if I save this and let me simply compile this, java c meth override dot java. Okay, so when I'm compiling this I am getting method I am getting an error here, so this should be B, sorry, so this should basically be B. Okay, so now it is okay, it should not throw me any error. Okay, so when I'm compiling here I can see that I have no errors, and let me simply execute this java meth override, and now see what I am getting here as the output is that this is method 2. That means whenever I am creating an object of the child class which is extending the parent class A, I am not being able to access the same method which is present in A or the method which is there in the parent class, because I have created this object of the child class. Even though this particular method is capable, this method is capable of inheriting this class B is basically capable of inheriting the properties of class A, still this particular method will not be displayed when I am creating an object of B and calling this method. So what is the next possible option that we can do? I can simply create an object of A and then I can call the method, then the parent class method would be called. Now there is another possibility. First let us simply see this. Okay, let us first see this, how it is being executed. So now this should return me with, this is method, yes, okay, so I am not keeping here as A, so yes, now it should give me the correct output. Okay, so this is method 2 initially because b dot display is there, and again when I'm compiling and running this, so I am getting method 1. Okay, so this is how basically we can call the object, we can call a method which is there in parent class. Now this we have to be very clear that when we are overriding a particular method, okay, with a different method having the same method signature, if we are creating an object of the child class which is basically overriding the parent class, I cannot access the methods or the properties of the parent class. That object is strictly confined to the child class methods only. Now, in order to call the parent class methods, I have to create an object of the parent class and then use that object to call the different methods. But there is another concept which is related to it. If we do not create the object, then also it is possible. So how is it possible? I can call the method using the child class object. Okay, so for this what I have to do is, we have already done this, we simply have to use the super keyword. So super dot display would super dot display inside the child class method would help me to call the parent class method also without actually creating an object. So let us see whether this works or not. So Java C, yes, this is not throwing me any error. So now I'll simply run this. So when I'm simply executing this, see, I am getting the result as this is method 1, because whenever the call is going from this particular method call to this method, whenever it is entering this method inside the body, the first statement it gets is super.display, and this display is basically corresponding to the method of the parent class. Okay, so initially the first statement would be printed and then the second statement would be printed here. So this is an alternate to creating of an object in order to call the method which is there in parent class. So we have already done this super class and super keyword, and using this super keyword we can simply call this particular method. Now the other concept which is related to this, so this is one concept, I'll simply write it down here so that we remember what we have done. So first of all we worked with super keyword, which replaced the need for creating an object and calling the parent class method. Instead we can simply use this super keyword in order to call the parent class method. Okay, the next thing that we will be discussing here is which are the methods that we cannot override. So are all the methods which are there or inside the classes can be overridden? The answer is no. Which are the methods that we cannot override? The first thing that we have to remember is we cannot override if we have used the final keyword or the final keyword in the method signature of any method. Okay, so final methods basically they cannot be overridden, and if we do not want that particular method to be overridden, we will introduce the final keyword to its signature. Then if the method is static, then also it cannot be overridden. So method basically those methods whenever it is the static keyword is associated, or we have declared it as a static method with the same signature as that of static method in the base class, it is known as method hiding, and whenever this concept takes place we will not be able to override that particular method. Okay, and the third thing that we have to remember is that if we have declared any method as private, they cannot be overridden as they are bonded during compile time, and that is why we cannot even override private methods in a subclass. Okay, so these are the three different types of methods which cannot be overridden. So whenever a method is final, whenever a method is static, or whenever a method is private, we will not be able to override that particular method. So let us see this. Suppose I have introduced the final keyword in the parent class method here. Okay, so now let me save and compile this first, and let us see what do we get. So whenever I am doing this, it says that display in B cannot override display in A. And what is the reason? The reason is overridden method is final. That means if we do not want this particular method to be overridden, we simply have to introduce this final keyword, and this method will not be declared as final, and it will not be able to and it won't be overridden by any other method. Okay, now suppose the next thing that we discussed is if we have considered a method as static. Okay, so whenever we define a static method with the same signature as a static method in the base class, it is known as method hiding, and this particular method hiding concept is strictly related to this static keyword. And let us see if we can override this particular method or not. So see, here also I am getting an output, not output, an error which is saying that overridden method is static and we cannot override it. So all of them are generating compile time errors, and it is not letting me progress because these methods are declared in the way in which it cannot be overridden. Okay, the third type of methods which cannot be overridden are private methods. So if I'm introducing anything as private, essentially it means that we are already considering that particular method to be private, and that particular method cannot be accessed by any other method. So let us see, when I'm compiling this, I'm getting an error because it says that display has private access in AA. So this particular display method, since it is private to just class A, it cannot be inherited and cannot be overridden by class B. Okay, so these are some of the concepts which are related to those methods which cannot be overridden. So this is this concept is basically related to those methods if we want to keep them in an independent manner and use them, but we cannot simply allow others to inherit that particular method. Now there is another keyword which is known as synchronized. Okay, so they are basically non-access modifiers. We have talked about, or we know about access modifiers, which are private, default, protected, and public. So synchronized and strict FP, basically they are non-access modifiers. So these keywords are also used in order to define the access modifier for blocks. Okay, so strict, and this we will discuss in deeply in our subsequent sessions. So these two keywords, basically synchronized and strict FP, does it has any impact on the overriding concept? So let us just check. Okay, so suppose I have introduced synchronized keyword here. Okay, so if I have saved this and then I am trying to compile this particular program, so what is the error I am getting? I am getting no error. Let me simply run this. Okay, so let me simply run it and see what is the error. So I am getting no error. Now synchronized, as already mentioned, it has no impact and the method can be overridden easily. Now if I replace, just shift the position of synchronized in the subclass or the child class, which is basically overriding the parent class, to let us see if that has any impact if I introduce that particular keyword into the child class. So when I am doing this, here also there is no error and I am getting the same output. So synchronized does not have any impact on the method overriding concept, and whenever we are incorporating synchronized here, that means the methods can be overridden whichever way we feel like. Okay, similar is the condition with strict FP. So strict FP, and suppose here also I am using a similar concept, strict FP. Okay, so here what I am getting as strict FP, as of release 17 all floating point expressions are evaluated strictly and it is not required. So basically this has become an obsolete concept in Java 17, so we do not have to bother much about this, but we have to remember that if before Java 17, even if we would have used strict FP in any way, the way we use synchronize, it would have given me the same output. Okay, so this is some of the third point that we discussed today. So synchronize does not have any impact on the method overriding concept. Now let me simply clear the screen here so that we have a proper output. Okay, so now the final point that we will be discussing here is, does the overriding method should have the same return type? Okay, so this particular method within this class and this method, is it always necessary that we should have the same return type? So let me write down the question here, same return type. Okay, so is it always necessary? Like we have discussed this point in your method overloading concept also, and we saw it through a program that it is not very necessary. Now let us see here whether it should have same return type or not. So here now you have to understand that there is a concept which is known as covariant return type. Okay, so basically Java allows covariant return type in method overriding. Now what is this covariant return type? So here if we have void and void, both the methods are void, so it will not throw me any error, and I am absolutely getting whatever output is desired from my program. Now suppose I am keeping here as this return type, suppose I am keeping here as string, and this also I am keeping here as string. Okay, so whenever I am doing this, so I have to introduce here return null as well, return null, and here also I have to keep here as return null. Okay, only then I'll delete this super keyword. Okay, so now let me simply compile this and check whether I'm getting the output. So when I'm doing this, yes, I'm getting the output. And suppose I want to get the output of both the methods, what will be the condition? I have to create an object of it, or I can use a super keyword. It is up to you, whatever you feel like. So whenever I am doing this, see, I'm getting both the statements printed. Okay, now suppose I am using here a return type which is a parent return type. Okay, so object and string. Now let us compile this and check. So here also I am getting no error, and it is getting compiled and executed in a manner that I wanted it to execute. So basically when I'm introducing object, this is a parent of string. Okay, so object is basically a parent of string, and that is why I am getting the desired output. That means the strings here or the statements here are printed. Now let me simply reverse this particular return type, string and object. So is it possible that I get the output now? So let me see. So whenever I am compiling this, say it is automatically throwing me an error which says that the display in B cannot override display in A, because the return type object is not compatible with string. That means string, which is there in the parent class, is not a parent of object. Object is a parent of string, but string is not a parent of object. So this we have to keep in mind. Okay, similarly if I have here float, okay, and here I have int. So let me just check what type of error here I am getting. So here I am getting an error is, oh, return type is not, so return 0, and here also return 0. So what is the error that I am getting here? Yes, now you can see that incompatible types, that is int cannot be converted into float, and here also I am getting that return type is not compatible with float. So this is not possible. Okay, now however, if I am creating here as object, okay, and then I am compiling and executing this, what is the error that I am getting? Okay, so here also I am getting that B cannot overwrite or display in A, and return type int is not compatible with object. Okay, so object here is not compatible with int. Okay, so let us now check for string buffer. So if I am using string buffer, essentially I will use the null, and here also I will use null. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll simply compile this, and it is getting compiled. Okay, so now we can see that let me just check. Yes, so now we can see that object is basically a parent of string buffer, and that is why this is not throwing me any compile time error. So likewise, there are a lot of other relations between different data types, and we have to identify which is a covariant data type, and accordingly it will allow me in order to print this particular statements. Okay, if I am using number is another data type. Okay, and suppose I am now again compiling this particular program. Okay, so when I am compiling this program, it is getting compiled automatically. That means object is a parent of number, and number on the other hand, if I am using this number and then I am using int. Okay, so let me save this, and now I'll compile this. So okay, so here it is again, return type is not compatible with number, and it cannot be converted to int. So basically this number is not a parent of int. So let me consider the return type as integer. So if I'm considering the return type as integer, then let me check what is the error that I'm getting. So cannot find the symbol class integer. So this is, sorry, this is again this particular concept will not be possible. If I am using, let's say we have a different data type. If I'm using float display, okay, so number, we know that number is a child of object, so number was working fine. Now if I have to find out a child of number, so essentially this should be giving me an output. So here also I am not getting the desired output, where it is showing that display in B cannot override display in A, and return type float is not compatible with number. That means that the object is the parent of number, however number is not the parent of float, and that is why I am not getting the desired output here. Okay, so this is how basically your things work. Okay, now small f, initially if you look into this, whenever I used a small f here, okay, when I used a small f here, I got that particular error. Okay, so here when I'm using a small f in float here as a return type, I got an error. Now whenever I am using a capital F float, so this is the way float has to be represented, okay, in the return type. So whenever I am using a capital float, let us see. So see, I am not getting any error. So number was basically not the parent of float, but it is actually the parent of float. So this might be little confusing. So basically this is the number is the parent of float, and that is why whenever I'm using this float, I'm not getting any error. Similarly, if I'm using the return type as int here, let me see, here again I'm getting an error as int. Okay, so integer, yes, I'm getting an error as, whenever I used small int, so I got an error. Whenever I use capital int, I got an error. But whenever I'm using return type as integer, capital integer, it is not throwing me any error. So likewise, you have to go on associating the covariant return type. There is an entire chart based on this. So if you look up in the internet also, you will get it, and if at all required, I can also give it to you. Okay, so number, again it has some other data types with it, which is, let's say, double. Okay, so double, it will not give me any error. Again, if I am using, let's say, long, okay, it will not give me any error. So likewise, but if I use long here, okay, if I use long here and if I use number here, it will give me error. See, it is giving me error, and it is saying that return type number is not compatible with long. So this is what is covariant data type. So whenever we are using covariant data type, we have to make sure that whatever we are using in the child class, that should be, that particular method should have a parent data type which has a bigger value than the child return type. Okay, so basically if I'm using a parent data type in the parent class and a child data type in the child class, that will work fine for overriding. Okay, now let us look into another concept which is related to overriding, and that is access modifiers. Okay, so access modifiers, so this also we already know that there are 4 different types of them, which is public, private, protected, and default. Now whenever I am using an access modifier here, now let's say I am using access modifier as public here, I am also supposed to use a public access modifier in my child class, or the method which is going to override the parent class. Okay, so when I am executing this, let me just see. Yes, it is giving me the desired output. Just one second. Yes, it is giving me the desired output, Java method override. Now what I'll do is I'll simply remove this. Okay, I'll simply remove this. Now what is the data what is the access modifier which is in this particular method? It is default, and the access modifier in this method, this is also default. Okay, now if I am supposed to consider method overriding or make this program work, then I cannot introduce an access modifier here which has smaller scope than the access modifier which is present here. That means if I am using public here, okay, if I am using public here, I cannot have private here, because this private has a smaller scope as compared to public. So let us first execute this and see. Java C. See, I am getting an error here saying that attempting to assign weaker access privileges, that was public. So private is basically weak, has weak access privilege than public. Now if I am supposed to override this particular method, either I have to keep a default data type, a default access modifier here, and use a bigger access modifier or stronger access modifier in this particular method, or I do not have to keep any access modifiers in the this method. Okay, so let me see if I am getting the error again. So when I am executing this, see, I am getting no error because public is stronger than default. So that is why this method will be able to override this method. Okay, so now if I am executing this, I am getting the output. Likewise, if I am having default, okay, I cannot use private here. Private here, it will throw me an error because as we know that it has weaker access privileges. Okay, now I can use protected here. Can I use protected here? Let me clear the screen first. Okay, so if I'm doing this, yes, I can use protected here because protected has stronger, or the accessibility of protected is higher than that of default. That is why I can use the access modifier protected here. So access modifiers can be used, but we have to keep in mind that whatever method is overriding another method, that particular method should have a stronger access modifier as compared to the overridden method. Okay, so this concept is very, very important. So these are some of the concepts that we discussed in today's video. First of all, we talked about the super keyword, where we do not have to create an object of the parent class, and we can simply use the super keyword in order to call the method of the parent class inside the child class. We talked about which methods cannot be overridden, that is final, static and private methods cannot be overridden. The use of synchronized and strict FP keywords. So if we are using synchronized, which is a non-access modifier keyword in the methods, wherever we place it, whether in the overriding method or in the overridden method, it will not make any difference, and overriding is possible by the use of this, even if we use this anyway we feel like. Now talking about the next point, we talked about covariant return type, where we understood that the parent method or the method which needs to be overridden should have a return type which is a parent of the child class method return type. Okay, suppose here if we look here, number is a parent of long, and hence this is possible, but the vice versa concept is not possible. That means if we have a child return type in the parent class method and the child class method has a parent return type in its method, then those methods cannot be overridden. So those are basically the covariant return type, and Java allows covariant return type when it comes to method overriding. Again, we also talked about access modifiers. So access modifiers are basically they can be used, however we have to keep in mind that the method which is overriding the parent class method, that should have a stronger access modifier as compared to the method which is there in the parent class. So these are 5 points which we discussed about method overriding in Java. In my next video, we will be talking about some more concepts related to object-oriented programming. So this is all for today. Thank you.